Hi and welcome to Ottawa English. I'm Angela, and in this video we're going to take a look at writing a survey response for CELPIP Writing Task 2. We'll work through this question together, step by step. The city is thinking about developing a large green area in the centre of your town and has sent out a survey asking residents what they think the best use of the land would be. Option A, a mall, and option B, a recreational area. We'll start by understanding and analysing the question, and then we'll go on to identify examples, plan and structure it. Finally, we'll write it, and as we go through each of these stages, I'll give you some tips on some of the common mistakes that you need to avoid. So let's get started. The survey prompt has three components. First, it has a description of a situation. Second, it has two alternative outcomes that are expressed as options. And third, it has instructions that tell you exactly what the examiner wants you to do as you respond to this CELPIP Writing Task 2 essay prompt. Before you do anything, you need to make sure that you've understood what you're writing about. So this situation is asking whether it would be better to build a mall or a recreational area in the undeveloped land downtown. And these instructions tell us to choose an opinion, one opinion, explain why we've chosen it, and then support that explanation with examples within 200 words. And now you can safely use up to 220 words, and you'll probably need about that many words to provide a well-developed response. The sample response to this CELPIP Writing Task 2 prompt that we're about to look at is exactly 220 words. So the most common mistake at this point are, first, not spending enough time analysing and understanding the question, and second, not recognising that the CELPIP survey response is an opinion essay. And the standard format for an opinion essay is to choose one option, like these instructions tell you, and justify that one choice with two reasons. And my students often tell me that they just don't have enough time to spend analysing the question. But the problem is that if you don't spend that time analysing and understanding the question, you can very easily end up writing an irrelevant essay. And if you write an irrelevant essay, you won't get your score. All the effort that you've put into improving your vocabulary and grammar and learning English will have been wasted. So make sure you understand what's asked of you before you start giving it. Okay, now that we're clear on what we need to write, we can start populating this very basic structure. Using a clear structure helps you keep your ideas together, and that helps you pick up a lot of points for cohesion and coherence. But it also acts like a kind of a roadmap that leaves you time to focus on your grammar and your sentence structure and any systemic errors that you make. You know, those are those little mistakes that you habitually make, even though you know that they're wrong. Okay, so let's start by putting our understanding of the question up here. And then I need to choose my option. So I'm going to choose the recreational area. And now I need to decide on two main ideas that are going to support my choice of a recreational area. So for these ideas, I'm thinking back to a lunch I had with a co-worker in a local park. And while we were sitting there munching through our sandwiches, we Couldn't help but notice how fresh the air was and how happy the little birds around us seemed to be as they chirped out their little songs. Mentally transporting myself out of the high-stress exam space to a low-stress environment where I'm chatting to friends often makes it a lot easier to generate ideas. And while my head is in that relaxed setting, I can write down any words that come to mind so that I don't waste any precious time trying to remember them later on when I need them. I'm trying to avoid wasting time on repeated actions. So I'm going to use that fresh air and all those little chirping birds as my main ideas. So I'm just going to pop them down here. At a high level, this first example will be of the health benefits of recreational areas, and the second one would be the environmental benefits of recreational areas. And so now I can go back to my introduction and populate my reasons with my health benefits and my environmental benefits. So my introduction's almost finished. It needs 3 parts. It needs a paraphrase of that situation. And so rather than say that would it be better to build a mall or a recreational area on the undeveloped land downtown, I'm going to say discussions about the potential uses for the vacant land downtown have been getting quite heated throughout the community, with some showing a clear preference for a mall and others leaning towards a recreational area. And so now I've got the 3 components of my introduction with the paraphrase, the opinion, and the main ideas. I know that my introduction is finished because I could give it to a friend and I could expect that friend to tell me exactly what the essay's about, and they might even be able to write it for me. Some of the most common mistakes that test takers make with their introductions include not stating an opinion, not providing main ideas, or providing ideas for both options. It's really important that you choose one option and then choose 2 main ideas that support it. Now that we've got our introduction and our main ideas, all we need to do is follow the roadmap and write our 2 main body paragraphs. The first one will be about health benefits and the second one will be about environmental benefits. So each of those paragraphs will have a topic sentence, an explanation, and an example or supporting details. So here's my topic sentence that identifies the idea of my paragraph. Then I have my explanation where I elaborate on my topic sentence and explain it to my examiner. Often a good way to think about your explanation is to imagine explaining your idea to a 10-year-old child and then use that same easy, simple language that says exactly what you want to say. And then I have my example, which is very relevant to what I'm trying to say, and it supports my topic sentence and my explanation. Some of the common mistakes that test takers make include not explaining and supporting that main idea, and then changing their opinion during the essay. You don't want to do that. Pick your main idea, pick your opinion, stay with it, and add supporting details. That's what's going to get you your score. And now we follow exactly the same pattern for the second paragraph. We have our topic sentence that identifies what the paragraph is about. So here we're writing about the environment. And then we have our explanation, like we're talking to that 10-year-old examiner. And then we have our example that's very relevant to the point we're making. Some of the common mistakes that test takers make include using ideas that aren't relevant. It's really important to keep the question you're answering in mind as you write. Your ideas need to be in line with what you're trying to say. The other thing is trying to impress the examiner. There is no point trying to impress the examiner. When your examiner reads your essay, she's checking to see that you've answered the question, that you've used solid ideas, that you've developed a well-balanced and well-structured essay, and that you've navigated your way through any vocabulary and grammar requirements that you need in order to make your opinion clear. If you've done that, she'll be impressed, regardless of whether or not she agrees with the option that you've chosen. So please stop worrying about the things that don't matter and focus on getting the things that do matter right. To finish our essay, we need a conclusion. And a lot of my students worry about this last bit because by now they've done so much thinking and the time pressure's mounting as the clock ticks away. Often the easiest way to write the conclusion is to paraphrase the introduction. And just like the introduction, it needs to do three things. It needs to answer the question, it needs to reiterate your opinion, and it needs to link your main ideas together. So first of all, tell your examiner that this is your conclusion. So you write in conclusion or to conclude. And then you summarize your main points and restate your opinion. Some common mistakes that test takers make include not using a structure that keeps your response on track. And remember that using the right structure forces you to do exactly what the examiner wants to see. So when the examiner gets to the end of your essay and asks herself whether you've clearly expressed what you think about that question, you really do want the answer to be yes. The other common error is writing surprise conclusions. And so by a surprise conclusion, I mean one that introduces new information or starts explaining things. There should not be anything new in your conclusion. You want your examiner to know everything right from the start when you introduce your essay. That's the point of your introduction. So you introduce what you're going to say what you're going to say, and then you summarize what you've said. So I usually suggest keeping each section of the paragraph on a new line until you've finished your essay, so that you can see that you've included everything. You can see that each of the 4 sections has 3 parts, and you want to make sure that all those bits are there before you finish. And then once you've checked that everything's there that needs to be there, you can close up the sections, because when you finish your essay, when the time comes to an end, you don't want any new lines to start within the paragraph. So each sentence should continue from where the last one left off. Okay? So in this final essay, once I close up all the gaps, it should look like this. So stop the video for a moment if you want to read it through from start to finish. As promised, here are my top tips. First of all, remember that the survey is an opinion essay. You need to express your opinion, and you need to have 2 supporting ideas for the one opinion that you're going to express. Secondly, never forget the question. From the time you start writing to the last word in your conclusion, never forget what you're writing about. Make sure you understand what you're writing about. Remember that every sentence and every word is important. Support your main reasons with relevant examples. Follow a structure so you don't leave anything out. Give yourself that little roadmap so that you don't get lost and everything stays neatly packaged into bundles. And finally, don't try to impress the examiner. Keep it simple. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope your preparation goes well. Remember, you can always give me a call for some help at 613-614-6460. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.